Good evening. Well, hi. I'm astrologer and channeler Penny Dix, and with me once again is.
Sarah Sand-Smith, hypnotherapist and channeler.
And we thought we'd bring you yet another video. And it's been quite challenging setting this one up because there is a lot of interesting energies around. And we're going to come to that a bit later. But first of all, we thought you would like to have an update on the UAP/UFO situation. But first of all, I want to, and Sarah wants to, I'm going to speak for both of us, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
We really want to thank you all so much for the support you are showing us so far. The subscriber count is just going really well, and we're just hugely grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And all your lovely likes and comments. And I do my best to answer all the comments, and everybody is coming up with some interesting ideas, one of which I'm going to come up with in a minute, because you know, you're all having your own experiences. And I think one of the values of a channel like this, and because we are kind of talking about these subjects, which can tend to be a little bit kind of sort of off-piste, is that it gives us all permission to share the sort of interesting or weird experiences that we've had and actually look for the evidence and the validity in them. If you can hear wild scratching in the background, it is one of my cats who may or may not make an appearance. You just never know. So first of all, the update on the UAP situation, because Sarah sent our pictures off to some sites. So do you want to just take over?
So
at this
initially
point?
I was going to send it to the British UFO Society, but they actually charge £5 just to look at your photos, so I thought that was a bit outrageous. So ended up actually posting on a couple of Facebook groups, British UFOs, and I didn't actually know there was a Maltese UFO group, so somebody actually contacted me from Malta and said, oh my goodness, I saw the same thing on that Sunday evening and it looked just like your photos. So that
Remind, that was the one with the how do you pronounce it?
Ouroboros and
Ouroboros.
the bearded man in the
Yeah.
middle. So that validated that sighting. And then posting on subsequent Facebook groups for the UK, there's a lady in the Isle of Man who's also had a similar sort of sighting. So you know, that's really interesting as well, that, you know, the sightings are over small islands, Isle of Man, Malta, Gozo. So I don't know whether we can read anything into that at all. But it definitely, they have seen exactly what we have seen. And people came back with various comments, and to be honest, there are some people who I think are in the groups for the wrong reasons. So I didn't respond to those comments, and, you know, had somebody say, oh, it's a dinner plate.
Yeah.
Somebody said, oh, it's the International Space Station. And somebody said, oh, that's just the kind of digital noise you get when you enlarge a picture of a star. But we actually did take pictures of stars and planets, enlarge them, and we got nothing like what we had in our photos. So,
and the International Space Station, to the best of my knowledge, please tell me if I'm wrong, does not stop mid-flight and then descend slowly into the sea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was really interesting that we'd got a couple of people out there who'd actually seen the same thing as us. So what conclusion we can draw from that, I'm not entirely sure. I think, you know, it possibly is, as we thought, a symbol. Blue Man, when I questioned him about it, he was a little bit evasive. It's a symbol. You will be told what you need to know when you need to know it. So from that, I divine that there is a lot more to come. So, you know, sort of watch this space. We will keep you updated. But then there's another theory, isn't there?
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Well, there are several theories, because just literally about half an hour before we started to record this video, a client of mine and a subscriber to my other channel, Astrology with Penny Dix, Anne Lippman, and I'm sure you won't mind me mentioning you, Anne, because you messaged me and sent me this wonderful picture of a medieval Ouroboros. That's how I pronounce it. Have I done it right?
That's good enough.
It's good enough, right. Yeah. And this is from a late medieval Byzantine Greek alchemical manuscript. Now, the reason she sent it to me is because it actually fits in with the nodes of the moon. So this brings in my astrology side. So just to give you a little brief description of what the moon's lunar nodes are. They're not actually objects, but they are points in space on the ecliptic line, so that when we get eclipses, you have like the Earth, the moon, and the sun, so that you get like a new moon solar eclipse, and then a full moon lunar eclipse is when the moon is on the other side of the Earth with the sun shining at the Earth, so the Earth shines or casts a shadow on the moon. Now, the nodes are very important in astrology because, especially interestingly, in Vedic astrology, where they are called, I can't remember, there's Rahu and there's another one at the bottom, but I can't remember what the south node is. But the idea with Vedic astrology is that it is actually the head of a dragon. The north node is the head of a dragon. Now, I'll get to the Ouroboros bit in a minute because it is super interesting, but it's the head of the dragon, and it's the dragon eating its tail. Now, I thought that was super interesting. So that actually this picture that Anne has sent me, you know, shows that it's actually like, and I'll just hold it up a bit closer. You can actually see there's some legs and arms there. So it could be a dragon, but no wings. But never mind.
Well, it could be a different type of
yes,
dragon, couldn't
but
it?
I just want to read what it said. So it says, in the context of the nodes, circle imagery brings to mind the Ouroboros, a cross-cultural motif of a snake biting its own tail. And if you remember, for those of you that may not have seen our first two videos, when we enlarged the picture of the unidentified aerial phenomena that Sarah saw over her house, it enlarged to, and perhaps I can find the original picture here quickly, it enlarged to a, no, I've got pictures of Murray and I haven't got pictures of that. Never mind, I'll come back to it. So it enlarged to what looked like an Ouroboros with a bearded man in the middle. I'll find it in a minute so I can show you in a minute. But astrologically, the nodes are incredibly important. The North Node is our destiny. It is our karmic destiny. It is collectively where we are all headed and guided towards. The South Node is our karma. It's the karma that we bring in with us from past lives, but it's also the karma that we've incurred in our current lifetime. So eclipses often link in with massive changes in, say, the leadership of various countries and governments. So in ancient civilizations, it was seen as the death of a monarch, the death of an emperor, the death, you know, of the king. And the interesting thing is, astrologically, that eclipses often do bring these kind of dramatic changes. So this brings me back to wondering whether the fact that the Ouroboros is linked to the nodes of the moon, which I didn't realise when we had the first picture in video 2, whether there's something in this message that they're trying to convey to us, they being the blue light beings, blue man, the energies that we are connecting with, whether they are trying to give us a kind of an indication of sort of like what you reap is what you sow. And that if you want this planet to move forward and thrive and survive, then we need to pay the debt of the past. We need to learn from the mistakes we made, which we kind of know all this stuff, which is what I think is so interesting. But I think the planet in general has got so terribly lost. And I think actually every generation it gets terribly lost. Because it's like with each generation, we start again. And each generation makes the same, it's the sins of the fathers, isn't it? But to move on just to what some of the other information. So thank you very much, Anne Lippman, for that information that came so synchronistically on time. Many thanks. And I wondered, or my blue light beings, the Orion lot as I fondly call them, I wondered if it is a kind of portal into another kind of parallel or multi-dimensional timeline of the universe. And I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing these questions out there because I did notice on TikTok there was someone, and I'm really sorry, but I can't remember her name. But she had taken similar pictures, and the comments coming back to her were that it could be like a portal, a kind of time portal, because round it you could see what looked like ships waiting to pass through, taking their turn to pass through to another sort of dimension. Because you see, I don't think, and I'll just, if you don't mind, I'll just continue with this thread because I think it's the old BLBs channeling through me. I don't think that spaceships will come to our planet in the form that we've been kind of mythologically encouraged to believe through television series and films made in the 50s, 60s and 70s, because the distances in space are so vast. There is just, there would have to be objects that are kind of, well, they would have to be interdimensional, faster than light objects. That's all I can kind of surmise from this. So that, when we've had this kind of idea that wormholes are ways to move from one part of the universe to another, then I think that that is a much more likely solution. So that time portals, and interestingly, a friend of mine who sadly is no longer with us, Francis Aloysios, he's written some books about the ancient temples on Gozo. He actually did a lot of research into time portals round Gozo, and he felt that he had connected with them, and at least I was around long enough to have some conversations with this lovely guy and find out some of the information that he gave me. So I'm going to actually have a little look at his books again and see if it gives us anything that I could actually pass on to you. But we're going to keep you updated with this because it is not what we expected to be bringing you in this channel. It just isn't, is it?
No, but it was something that we felt was so extraordinary. We thought it was worth sharing, but also we were really interested to see whether there was anyone else out there that had similar sightings, similar experiences, could shed any light on it. So, I think this is a story that may sort of run and run. It's a thread which we will keep bringing to you as more information comes to light. And I think that, Blue Man, the blue light beings, are clearly sort of waiting for something. And we will actually be bringing you in a couple of weeks a programme about the sort of predictions for 2025 that they have conveyed to us. And I think that all may be tied up with that potentially.
Yeah.
So
and we will receive more information from them over the next few weeks. And, as I sit here saying that, I still think to myself, this must sound really crazy stuff. But, I know that from many of you that have left lovely comments that you're experiencing similar things, and it's just that Sarah and I have kind of stuck our head above the parapet, so to speak, to get shot down. But we're just going to carry on with it. But one of the things that we thought might be interesting to explore today is to actually look at the difference between spirit guides and star being guidance, because I think they come from two different dimensions. Would you? Has BM said anything about that?
Well, yesterday he actually gave me the idea that this is something that we could talk about, just to talk about the sort of synchronicity and how I guess we sort of live our lives. We live our lives in the belief that if we ask our blue man, our blue light beings for something, they deliver it. And it might be something as simple as a parking space. You know, we will go out shopping, we will say, please find us a parking space. We will go into a crowded car park, there isn't space to be seen. Suddenly somebody in front of us pulls out and we slot into that space. And that kind of thing happened yesterday, in fact. And at that point I went, here's an idea that we can talk about. And it, you know, it's not the sort of spirit guide situation. We did talk in our very first video about, you know, how I felt there was always somebody there, you know, who protected me from being blown up with bombs and things like that. But it's different, isn't it? It's different to a spirit guide. It is somebody who's there, who acts in your best interests at all times. And I think the lesson we have learned over the last sort of year and a half or so is that we can actually ask these people for things. If we want a parking space, or we want an appointment, or we want something, we just ask them, we put it out there, we ask them for it, please help us, please deliver this, and it happens.
And it's very different from the kind of what I'd call the mainstream ideas of the law of attraction, as taught in many books, too numerous to mention, because I think it takes it takes manifestation up to a whole new level.
Most definitely.
But you know what? There's nothing new about this, because Florence Scovel Shinn was writing about this back in 1926 when she wrote her extremely brilliant book, if you've not heard about it, called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And basically she was American, she was a New Yorker, and she called herself a metaphysician. And basically she said, you just have to ask for what you want, but you have to have absolute faith that the right thing will come to you at the right time, in the perfect way, for the highest good of you and the highest good of everybody else. That way, you're in a win-win situation. So it's about staying in the flow of the universe and the kind of the divine energy, and knowing that, for example, if we hadn't found a parking space yesterday, it wasn't that BM had failed us. It was that what he was telling us was, you're not meant to be here at this moment, not at this time. So I will give you an idea. Perhaps he might send us another idea. We might have said, oh, well, let's go to the shop in Victoria, which is our sort of local town. Let's go there. And maybe we were meant to go there because we were going to bump into somebody that needed to speak to us. You know, these are the kind of synchronicities that once you get in that divine flow and get out of your own way and go with that energy, that it can really, it just becomes, after a while, second nature. Would you agree, Sarah?
No, definitely. I mean, let me give you an example of something that happened this week. So Penny, as you won't mind me disclosing
No.
She's been having some issues with her shoulder, with torn tendons and what have you, lots of pain. So just going for sympathy there. And she was meant to go over to Malta to go and see the shoulder man, as we call him, basically the surgeon who deals with
shoulders.
And suddenly her housekeeper's husband said, oh, the weather report is terrible, it's going to be gale force winds, you don't really want to be getting a ferry across to Malta to go to the hospital. And so Penny said to me, oh gosh, what should I do? And I said, well, I think, cancel, because ferries might not be running anyway, as they sometimes, are cancelled in the really bad weather here, and we get trapped on Gozo. And I said, cancel it, because something else will happen. The shoulder man will actually come to Gozo. And she was okay, well, I'll see. He's probably not going to come because, Christmas is coming and everything. And I said, well, it's 3 weeks to Christmas. So she cancelled. An hour later, she gets a call from the pharmacy where the shoulder man is coming to Gozo. And he was available today, Saturday.
Yes.
And this only happened on, what was it?
Thursday.
Thursday.
No, sorry,
No,
Wednesday.
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
yeah.
Tuesday.
And so the shoulder man came to Gozo on Saturday. She saw him this morning, and it all went incredibly well. But that was an example of actually, we feel that was BM sort of stepping in, giving advice. He said to me, tell her to cancel, basically. So she did, and it all fell into place. And it was like a 15-minute journey to go and see him here, rather than a sort of 2-hour faff each way to go over to Malta. So, that's
in potentially bad weather.
Exactly, which is never pleasant.
No.
She's not good on boats, so it's.
No, me and boats, not good. No.
So that's an example of actually having to make a decision, sort of putting it out there to our blue light beings and saying, what do you think we should do? And we get that feedback and we act on it, and then they make things right. They sort it all out, and it's like sort of having your own personal concierge that you can communicate with and get things done.
Which is true. It is like that.
No,
it really is.
It genuinely is like that, and things flow. And sometimes things don't happen the way we expect them to, but they happen in a different way, and there's a reason why they've happened in a different way, because something else good happens that compensates for us going, we didn't get a parking space or whatever there, but something better falls into place
because we've got out of our own way. And it's such simple basic stuff, but we forget it because we're so busy in this kind of automated technological kind of society that we live in, social media, and we're bombarded with information, that we actually lose touch with being able to be in touch with that inner self, the inner intuition, that divine kind of core of ourselves that can connect with these energies that are all there waiting for us. So the difference, my feeling is the difference between a spirit guide and connecting with a, say, blue light star being is not that one is better or worse or different or whatever. It's just that it may be that for you, say, watching, you need to know that it's your mum you're always talking to if she's passed over. So the energy will take on that persona and even have the essence of your mother's being and personality incorporated, because that would all have been agreed on a soul level. Whereas the difference, I think, between spirit guides and with the blue light star beings, and as I say, I know there are many people out there who are having these similar kind of contacts, is that the blue light star beings have not physically incarnated on our planet, and that they have been here like millions of years ago. And that's for another session, because I got some information coming through the other night which I haven't even told you about. And for some reason I keep getting the number 22. I've been getting the number 22, so I don't know what that's about. Maybe it's the 22nd of December, but I'm getting the number 22 a lot. And anyway, I think that they are really trying to wake us up, which fits in with the, as I said last time, the astrology of Pluto in Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by the planet Uranus. Uranus and the sign of Aquarius are about waking up, but waking up to these higher frequencies. And that's what I feel we are all being encouraged to do by not only our spirit guides, it doesn't matter what dimension they're from, whether they are in pure spirit, whether they are angels, archangels, spirit guides of nymphs, fairies, it really doesn't matter. What matters is that you have a connection that feels right for you, that you are getting that kind of core, authentic information given to you to trust and have faith, and to know that all you have to do is ask and you shall receive. To receive, you have to have faith, and that if you have faith, then it will whatever it is will happen. But it won't necessarily happen in the way you expect it to. You know, like with the shoulder man story.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen in the way that is best for you, and you have to receive whatever happens with gratitude, with grace, because, you know, because it is meant to be. It is what is the universe has
Love.
deemed. Yeah, has deemed best
I know
for
it
you.
sounds a little bit kind of like corny, but it is actually about love and being kind and thoughtful and helpful. And, you know, my God, don't we need some of that on the planet? You know, we've noticed how everyone goes around, they're so miserable, you know, and you know, we're actually going to talk about this in another session, but we were laughing today and people were looking at us as if we were completely bonkers. Well, yes, okay, maybe we are bonkers.
I mean, we were doing some quite strange things, such as, you know, talking in medieval night language, for example.
Tell that story, because that was quite funny, the one about the night.
Oh, gosh, well, last night we were talking about the Monty Python's Holy Grail film, where the knight has his arms shot off, pouring blood, and goes, oh, don't worry, it's just a flesh wound. And then, bizarrely, something popped up on my Facebook feed about conversing in medieval night language. So we're walking down the road to the shoulder man, talking in medieval night language.
Forsooth, fair maiden.
Ah, yon pharmacy yonder.
Apothecary.
Oh, of course, apothecary, yes. And what do we spy over the other side of the road but a little medieval knight's suit of armour outside a shop? So it's, gosh, wow.
Which was bizarre.
Yeah, and these things happen a lot to us. I mean, we were talking a while ago about a banned toy in the UK.
Oh, yes.
That we grew up with.
Yes.
And next thing you know, we see one for sale in Malta. And we're sort of like, oh my goodness.
And we can't tell you what it is, because
it's
not
banned.
It's banned.
It's banned.
It's not woke.
But it's something that we grew up with that was quite normal when we were growing up in the UK, but you know, not legal now. But it was so bizarre that suddenly this just appeared. And I'm sure you've all had experiences where you talk about somebody that you've not seen for a long time or been in contact with. And next thing you know, you get a message from them. So, you know, how does that work?
Yeah.
It happens to all of us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do we manifest them?
Which comes first, isn't it?
Exactly.
Which you'll be tuning into, because this is where I think it's about the different timelines that we can keep jumping from timeline to timeline. And one of the things I wrote down when we were making our sort of preparation notes last night is all of these things, like we've just been discussing, the sort of law, how to work with the law of attraction in what I would say the 21st century way, in the 2025 way, right, or the blue light being way, is that all of these abilities, ways of working with life are available to all of us, but we just have to be on the correct timeline. And you can jump timelines. Bear with me, because you have to kind of think of it like railway tracks. You come to a junction and you have several options, and you always have choice. And depending on the state or the frequency of your mood, so you can, if you're not in a good mood or in a good place, you might take the track, the timeline that takes you down to where there's lack and loss and illness and suffering. Whereas if you stay on the frequency of good fortune and happiness, there may be some obstacles along the way, but you've chosen a timeline that will ultimately bring you something much better and something much more in keeping with that which you want to manifest. So I think in general, it's about staying very consciously aware in the present moment, training your mind to stay in that flow and not be diverted by the mind trying to throw you off course. You know, it's like, don't force things, let them come organically, because they will. Any last words from you, Sarah?
Well, I think what we need to really stress is the whole concept that we have just been talking about, the whole concept, the existence of blue light beings, it's not an exclusive club. It's not like an elite place where only a few people can be members. Everybody can be a member. You just have to believe, and you have to be observant as well. You have to pick up the signs, because if you don't pick up those signs, you might go your entire life without that kind of communication and that kind of flow. So I think it's be observant, be sensitive to what is happening around you. And, you know, it's not an exclusive club, is it?
No.
You know, anyone can join.
I've just found a picture that I wanted to tell you about if any of you have not seen the video from last time, video 2. So it's very difficult to see in this, but I think what I might do is put it as a post on YouTube, on our channel, so that you can actually look at it yourselves and expand it. And because, I mean, I've got sort of how it was, you know, how it appeared in the night sky. It's a bit difficult to see. I'm going to put these on. I'm going to put these on as a post, actually. And you know, so that's where. Let me tell you what we're doing next. When are we doing? Because we're going to do a Q&A.
We are on
the first New Year's Day. Yes.
So that's when we're doing our Q&A. So really, we would
That'll be live.
Yeah, that'll be live. So anything that you want to ask us and any sort of feedback, any sharing would be absolutely brilliant. And then we're actually doing, as we mentioned earlier, predictions for 2025.
We're recording that on the 20th.
Yeah, so that'll probably be up on the 20th. Yeah. And we've already received some from our blue light beings and blue man. So, which Penny's also going to be explaining the astrology behind it, and you know, where applicable, where the astrology validates it. I mean, there may be some really left field things that come.
Do you know what I thought you said? I thought wear the applicable outfit.
Oh, we can do that.
I mean, come on with Pluto. Not Disney, Pluto. No, right.
Okay.
But
yeah,
moving swiftly on.
Yes.
Basically, we'd like that. That's roughly what we're going to, as I say, we're going to try and do one of these a week. And we do really value your comments. And thank you to the new subscribers that have come just in the last few days even. Thank you so much. And please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere. WhatsApp apparently is very good to share because people then forward it on, I was told.
And it's end-to-end encrypted as well.
Oh, it's end-to-end encrypted. So, okay, well, we need that, don't we? It's getting dark. We can start looking out the window for
for
images.
UAP spotting tonight, possibly.
So thank you so much for joining us again here tonight. I'm going to try and stretch across and turn the video off because this is my bad shoulder and I have had an injection in it today, so it's a little bit better. But I might have to go bionic. That's the plan. Oh, God, I shouldn't have done that. It hurts. Anyway.
Oh, you're just trying to get sympathy,
yes,
aren't
I am.
you?
Yes, yeah.
And
anyway.
more subscribers.
Anyway, guys, thanks so much for joining us. We really value your presence and we really value your comments. Sensible ones only, please. It wasn't a dinner plate. I just like to say, or the ISS. I do have a Sky at Night map app, where you can see where the ISS, often it's down there. Anyway, on that note.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you very much, everybody, as Penny has said, and we will catch up with you next week, unless something incredible happens this week and that we need to share with you.
Exactly, yeah. So thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.